Courage isn't always loud. When I read this piece, I kept asking myself, could I do that? Could I be the brave when it mattered? Anne Marie is just 10 years old, not a soldier, not a spy, just a girl who loves her best friend. But in Nazi occupied Denmark, that's enough to make her dangerous. This Newbery Medal winner shows what ordinary people risk when they refuse to look away. Number the Stars by Lois, Lowry. Anne-Marie moved quickly to the window, which overlooked the clearing that led to the path's entrance. The light outside was still very dim, and she peered through the dimness, trying to see, looking for the opening in the trees where the path began, looking for Mama hurrying home. After a second, she saw a shape there, something unfamiliar, something that had not been there the day before. A dark shape, no more than a blurred heap at the beginning of the path. The shape moved, and she knew it was her mother lying on the earth. "Mama!" she called desperately. "Mama!" "Shh," Mama said, raising her head. "I'm all right." "But Mama," Anne-Marie asked, kneeling beside her, "what's wrong? What happened?" Her mother pulled herself to a sitting position. She winced in pain. "I'm all right, really, don't worry. And the Rosens are with Henrik. That's the important thing." She smiled a little, though her face was drawn with pain. She bit her lips, the smile fading. "So I turned and hurried home. I was so anxious to get back to you girls. I should have been more careful." She brushed some grass and dirt from her hands. "Can you believe it? I was nearly here. Well, maybe just halfway when I tripped over a root and went sprawling." Mama sighed. "So clumsy," she said, as if she was scolding herself. "I'm afraid my ankle's broken, Anne-Marie. Thank goodness it's nothing worse. An ankle mends, and I'm home, and the Rosens are with Henrik. You should have seen me, Anne-Marie," she said, shaking her head with a weary look. She reached for Anne-Marie's arm. "Here, let me lean on you. I think if you support me on the side, I can make my way up to the house. Goodness, what a clumsy fool I am. Here, let me put my arm over your shoulders. You're such a good, strong, brave girl. Now, very slowly. There." Mama's face was white with pain, and Marie could see it even through the faint light of the approaching dawn. She hobbled, leaning heavily on her daughter, pausing again and again towards the house. "When I get home, I'll have a cup of tea, and then we'll call the doctor. I'll tell him that I fell on the stairs. You'll have to help me wash away the grass and twigs. Here, Anne-Marie, let me rest for a minute." They had reached the house, and Mama sank down to the steps and sat. She took several deep breaths. Anne-Marie sat beside her and held her hand. "Mama, I was so worried when you didn't come back." Mama nodded. "I knew you'd be. I thought of you, worrying as I dragged myself along, but here I am, safe with you now. Everything is fine." "What time is it?" It must be 4:30 or close to it." "They will sail soon." Mama turned her head and gazed across the meadow and the sky above it. There were no stars now, only the gray, pale sky with pinkness at its border. "Soon they'll be safe, too." Anne-Marie relaxed. She stroked her mother's hand and looked down at her discolored, swollen ankle. "You must run to the boat if anyone should stop you." "Who would stop me?" "Anne-Marie, you understand how dangerous this is. If any soldier sees you, if they stop you, you must pretend to be nothing more than a little girl. A silly, empty-headed little girl taking lunch to a fisherman. A foolish uncle forgot his bread and cheese." "Mama, what is it at the bottom?" But her mother still didn't answer the question. "Go," she said firmly. "Go right now and run as fast as you can." And Marie kissed her mother quickly, grabbed the basket from her mother's lap, turned and ran towards the path. Anne-Marie stopped suddenly, stood still on the path. She heard bushes rustling ahead. She heard footsteps, and she was certain it wasn't her imagination. She heard a low growl. Cautiously, she took a step forward, and another. She approached the turn in the path, and the noise continued. Then they were there, in front of her. 4 armed soldiers. With them, straining at taut leashes, were 2 large dogs, their eyes glittering, their lips curled. Anne-Marie's mind raced. She remembered what her mother had said. If anyone must stop you, you must pretend to be nothing more than a silly little girl. She stared at the soldiers. She remembered how she had stared at the others, frightened when they had stopped her on the street. Christy hadn't been frightened. Christy had been, well, nothing more than a silly little girl, angered because the soldiers had touched her hair that afternoon. She had known nothing of danger, and the soldiers had been amused by her. Anne-Marie willed herself with all her being to behave as Christy would. "Good morning," she said carefully to the soldiers. They looked her up and down in silence. Both dogs were tense and alert. The 2 soldiers who held the leashes wore thick gloves. "What are you doing here?" one of them asked. Anne-Marie held out her basket with a thick loaf of bread visible. "My Uncle Henrik forgot his lunch, and I'm taking it to him. He's a fisherman." The soldier reached for the apple. He noted its brown spots and made a face of disgust. "No meat?" he asked, glancing at the basket and the napkin that lay in its bottom. Anne-Marie gave him a withering look. "You know, we have no meat," she said insolently. "Your army eats all of Denmark's meat." "Please, please," she implored in her mind. "Don't lift the napkin." The soldiers laughed. He dropped the bruised apple on the ground. One of the dogs leaned forward, pulling at his leash, sniffed the apple, and stepped back. But both dogs still looked intently at the basket, their ears alert, their mouths open, saliva glistened on their smooth pink gums. "My dogs smell meat," the soldier said. "They smell squirrels in the woods," Anne-Marie responded. "You should take them hunting." The soldier reached forward with the cheese in one hand, as if he was going to return it to the basket, but he didn't. Instead, he pulled out the flowered cotton napkin. Anne-Marie froze. Thank you.